Welcome. So I'm chatting today with a total rock star. We met. I don't even know how we met. We met through, I don't know, some podcast or LinkedIn or one of these.
Inspiration.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we were just kind of talking before this on like previous jobs we'd had. But anyway, we got to talking, and I just loved what you guys are doing. This is like exactly, you embody everything that we want to just talk about and unpack and understand on this podcast, which is leaders of amazing mid-market companies. And so when we talked, I appreciate you doing this because I just thought immediately I got to have you on the pod and just kind of like tee up questions and let you go because I think people are going to get energy from you just the way I did.
We had such a good conversation. I think we were talking over each other's.
I never do that. um, well, I wanted to ask. So I had not heard of StayPineapple, and I don't know if for short you can say pineapple, but so cool. I started looking it up after we had talked, and I just love what you guys do. Could you just give like a minute on, sort of you're different and what and how you guys sort of came to be and think about the world.
Yeah, so Stay Pineapple's a boutique hotel owner operator brand. And really our perspective or the position that we hold in the market is really unique, quirky hotels that provide a hyper personalized experience. Kind of think an innkeeper, right? Go back to the old days of actual hospitality where you get to know the person and you know their psychographics, you know what makes them tick, not just whether they like a Coke or not.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So that's kind of our jam. We really love being hoteliers and um, providing memorable experiences for people. And so we use a lot of technology though to do that, which is always, I think, the interesting juxtapose that people see in our organization is they think if we're super people centric that we won't have a lot of technology, or that if we're very tech forward that we're going to forget about the people, and we've kind of merged the two together.
yeah. Well, let's go there. That is a very common perception with not only AI but a people business that the tech takes away from a people business. How do you guys just think about that? And then, I know your background is with like the Marriotts and Wyndhams and great organizations to be sure, but how you guys think about it differently and how tech can amplify the personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, the brands have a huge purpose in the industry and they do an amazing job. Their business models are clearly very successful. Um, but we're very much a contrarian to, I think, everything that the brands do. We don't believe in standards. I'm the anti SOP person, I think, in the
Mhm.
industry. We believe really strongly in unscripted, team members free to play and listen and delight and be human and personalize service and create a sense of belonging. Those are all things that are critically difficult to do in a big box and really tough to imagine how you would accomplish when you have 75,000 hotels across the world.
Yeah, right.
We have 10. And they're all small, and it allows us an opportunity to create something that is unique and different. And we integrate technology into that to really remove as much of the transaction and any of the friction out of the entire guest experience from discovery, which so many hoteliers forget about, right? The point at which somebody is out dreaming about that trip, whether it's a business trip or a leisure trip or going on vacation with your family trip, you're online probably in most cases and thinking about what you want to do and where you want to go. Even if you're going on a work trip, maybe you're trying to integrate some sort of evening activity into that
Yeah.
experience. So, how do we really connect with guests on where they want to be and what they want to see and do? And that is a much deeper process in that discovery phase than I'm selling you a hotel room. Like,
Yeah.
that's not the business we're in. We're not in the business of selling hotel rooms. We're in the business of creating experiences that make you want to come back again and again and again.
Yeah.
And so, that's something that I think a lot of hotels talk about. It is very difficult to deliver on. And I would say almost impossible to deliver on at giant scale.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in this week, in fact, and the conference was not at. I would have stayed at a Pineapple. You guys didn't have one in this particular city, and I won't name names, but conference is over. Uh, Wanted me to check out. Said the latest they could do a checkout was 12, and I had said, "Hey, can you extend me? I'd love to get in a workout, just a quick run before I go." And the person at the desk said, "No, can't be done. Latest I can do is 12." And of course, it was 12 right then. And the manager was there and kind of overrode her and basically said, give him another hour. Um, and it just struck me. I was just thinking, because we were having this conversation where you guys, I was looking at your site, 50,000 5-star reviews. And we have this joke in our company, not joke, it's the reality that process is a replacement for good judgment. And that's all that this person would need to
Write
do.
that down. That is so good.
Isn't it good? I mean, and so we embrace that too, where it's a lot of times people will put in an AI system or any system and it has all this process in it. And that resulted in that bad experience I had where they wouldn't let me just, and I said, I don't have to be in my room. I just want to have a shower after I work out because it's been a long couple, and that's a big part of my day and I'm on the road and that would be important to me. And she was following the process and did the right thing, I'm sure, by the brand, by the standard, but it was just a bad experience. And so, um, in that case, the process, I think, failed them. And it's not a place that I'll want to go back because of that. And so I love the way you guys are unscripted and embrace that. And I think, I would assume you do as well, that the future is more pineapples where you can have that experience. And so
I hope
how
you're
do you
right.
guys, yeah, how do you think about growing it? So how do you do that? Like, yeah, if 75,000 maybe isn't the mark because it's hard to, or do you think you could keep an unscripted vibe that way as you get bigger?
Yeah, yeah. Our goal is to be 50 hotels, right? So, yeah, we think we can scale it. We think it's a scalable model. It's really about hiring the right people. So, hiring people from the beginning that have great emotional intelligence, so
Okay.
they can read the situation with you and understand, like that manager did, that the right answer is yes. So we say all the time, we know to say yes. That doesn't mean that we say yes to every guest for exactly what they ask for, but
Right.
we know to find a way to get the guest what they need and
Right.
and do everything we can to give them what they want or more, right? The other thing is we have a philosophy that says similar to what you're saying, which is really do the next right thing. So at every moment, if I don't need to write SOPs to tell you how to do everything, if what you think in your head is I should do the next right thing, what is that?
Yeah. Really well. I'm
I
going to write
know it
that down.
sounds
Do the
simplistic,
next.
but
Yeah.
it works. It
Can you
works.
train
It's
that?
shocking to me.
Yeah. Can you train that in? I know you said you look for a specific skill set. How do you hire and find these people? And then is it a trainable or is that an innate characteristic that you find through the interview process?
Yeah, we've really found we lean into innate nature. You don't you don't necessarily have to have had the breadth of ability to do utilize the skills that you have. Like maybe you've worked at a front desk somewhere else where they do have rules and SOPs and standards, but you have to have an innate desire and ability to want to be of service. And if you have that, and that's really the seed for having great emotional intelligence. If I want to be of service, then I'm going to figure out a way to say yes. And so what we don't teach, we show is one of the things that I think is a differentiator. Instead of saying, handing somebody a manual and telling them how to do something,
Yeah.
we train on the job a lot, right? We watch what they do and then we coach and we go, "Ooh, here, watch. I'm going to check this guest in and I'm going to show you how I do an interaction around X, Y, or Z." And
Yeah.
so you can see how I do it. That doesn't mean that you need to do it the way I do it, because
I love
the
that.
other thing that is super critical to this kind of business model is allowing your team members to be their authentic self and to
Yeah.
bring their whole selves to work, which
Yeah.
can be kind of scary. People think
Yep.
that sounds really great. You would be amazed at the amount of team members that are nervous about it or stressed about it, and it takes time for them to be willing to risk themselves, right? Willing to really bring themselves to work and not have a facade.
Yeah.
But guests really respond to that. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in our lobby and cringed at the stuff that has come out of our team members' mouths and then watched a guest laugh out loud,
Yeah.
just barrel laugh and have a great time and create a relationship and an experience that they never could have gotten at a Marriott, right?
Yeah.
Because an employee would never be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
They're trained. I think what's sad to me is in general in the hotel business, we have trained the hospitality out of our employees and we don't allow them to be themselves and we don't empower them to make choices on their own. We say,
Yeah.
this is how you answer the phone, this is how you check somebody in, this is what you say when they ask for an extra hour in their room, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Empowerment, authenticity, hiring for emotional intelligence, those are three of really the key elements that we use to create the special magic that happens at StayPineapple.
Yeah.
And really, that culture is co created between the team members and the guests every day. And you have to be willing to let the science project of co creation
Yeah.
happen at your hotels and not be afraid of it. I get
Yeah.
it, it's scary, but you have to kind of let go and not feel like you have to control everything that's happening, and let it happen and let it be, and that's what makes it feel real and different and interesting, I think, to guests.
Yeah. That's really fascinating. It's like you don't want to show any vulnerability or weakness as a business, as a person, but the more you do, the more people feel a bond and an engagement with you because we obviously all have those vulnerabilities but yet as a corporate world or private equity, let's roll these up and create this operating template. We get rid of all of that, which makes it, as you said, interesting, and the science project is what we like. So and that is so we talked about it. So how do you, so as you guys grow to 50, how do you think about where does technology help and where are the risks then where that could actually hurt and look more like a process or look more like a um, it takes the humanness out of it. And then I guess, like I said, more important, like where do you see it could help more? And we can turn that a bit into AI just because I love that, and I know we've talked about that too. Just broadly speaking, how do you think about how it helps and where the challenges are?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest help that any technology, AI, automation, any kind of integration that you're able to do today, that's helping us today in our process is really taking that transaction off the team member as much as possible.
Yeah.
So they're not having to check you in and, do your credit card and get all this information inputted in front of you
I
and
hate that
take
part. Yeah.
time. Yeah, take time that should be time building a relationship, not getting data from you. That's not any fun.
Yeah.
So take away all the non-fun stuff and keep the
Yeah.
fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, and really be a hub of what's going on in the city and what's cool in the area, the neighborhood that you're at. Whether it's a local guest that's coming in or
Yeah.
it's somebody coming in from out of town, like if you can be if you can be the third place, then for the locals, you create a environment that people coming in from out of town will love too, because they love to interact with locals, right? So getting
Yeah.
that right vibe that has that cross collaboration going on with the community is really critical. And I think technology can support that today easily by just removing the stuff that you don't want to have to do. Like we
Yeah.
do exercises all the time here, whether it's at the home office or in our hotels that say, what stuff do I do every day that I don't want to do anymore? Let's give that to AI. Right.
So smart. I
But
mean, we spend,
literally,
yeah.
the question is that simple. It's not
Yeah.
what could AI do? It's
Yeah.
what do I not want to do?
Yeah.
What do I not like in my job? Let's get rid of
Right.
that.
It's so, yeah, it's because you think about it, and the bigger you get, the more of that you build. And let's just say that's a commodity. Nobody's good at it. Um, or good. That's not your differentiator. I process a credit card better than someone else. That's just table stakes. So the thought of let's just get rid of that. It doesn't matter and focus all our effort as a company on only thing that matters, which is this science experiment or this becoming part of the community. I think to me, that's the biggest opportunity for the mid-sized business is to just get rid, you can level the playing field and get rid of all of that mess. And I've known as I grow businesses, I end up building all of this infrastructure that I can't stand building, but you need to, and we've been trained that that's what it is to build a business. And then all of a sudden, 80% of your time and dollars are spent on keeping up with the big guy and the back office stuff. Meanwhile, you've lost and you're losing your, creative difference, which is why you got this opportunity to grow anyway. So I love the way you say it. Is what can we not do anymore? And let's give
Yeah,
that to AI.
100%.
Yeah. Which goes to the point of what does this mean for people? If I play this out, I think it's people are people, and we let the computers go do, zeros and ones, which is pretty freeing, I think. Lets us be a lot more fun and creative and less, in the
Yeah,
spreadsheets of it.
put on a future hat for a minute. Here's a
Yeah.
future dream of mine. We
Yeah.
haven't done this yet.
Yeah.
This is I'm constantly plotting
It
what the
does look like you're
next
plotting. You need an evil hat or
um
something.
So imagine this, the removal of the front desk. So we've
Okay.
removed SOPs. We don't need all these procedures. We've got really authentic people. We've got relationship building happening. You love the bartender, the everything person that's walking around the lobby helps you, in any way you need. But one of the things that I think hotels miss in general is particularly city center hotels. So I used to work in the resort business, and this
Okay.
is how I equate this idea for city center hotels. Imagine the city is a giant resort that is your resort, and these are all the amenities that are on your property that you can then show guests or plug guests into, and they can experience. So if now we stop looking at our hotel at the sidewalk boundary and say this is our hotel, but
Yeah.
instead we say the whole city is our hotel,
Wow.
your mind's going to explode, right?
Yeah, that's fine, but
Now
yeah.
I know it gets really exciting. So imagine the front desk completely gone and a, you know, 200-inch screen there, curved screen instead, that the everything person who is the front desk person today
Yeah.
stands there, and when you check in as a guest or you come down from your room or you're a local that comes in Saturday morning for coffee and you're looking for what's going on in the city today, what's going on, what's cool, what's happening, what do I want to do, we can walk up to the screen and go, ooh, look, hey, musical events or this stuff going on or that stuff going on, and swish it this way and swish it that way, and right, and really engage in a central hub of information of the whole city, both curated experiences, things that we have experienced and we know are great that we can
Yeah.
recommend, and then broader things that are feeds that we have coming in from, the central visitor bureau that tells us about all the kinds of goings on in the city. But like, it could really be a game changer of how guests think of a hotel. Like, when
Yeah.
you check into a hotel today, you think of it as a hotel room, maybe a restaurant, and you might
Yeah.
go exercise in the gym,
Yeah.
right? That's
Very
that's the
transactional.
extent of. But what if the hotel was really just the starting point for your experience,
Yeah.
and the experience went all day throughout the whole city, doing any number of things that you might be interested in. And if we have with our AI a ton of data about what we know you like we know you're into cycling and you love art glass and this and that and the other,
Yeah.
then we can pull up your profile and go, and the AI can focus in on the things that we know that you would already like that are going to
That's
be
amazing.
happening in the city.
I love that. Well, and then you just
That's
think
my dream.
practically. That's so cool. Well, and then now someone else is funding all your amenities versus I'm going to go build this in the middle of nowhere and build this massive set of amenities on my balance sheet versus let's just tap into what's there and
Yeah.
use technology to help us better connect people with that. Well, I love getting rid of the front desk too. Even just that's a massive win. We just come in and you feel like there's not a front desk at your in your home. Um, it, you want to if you want to feel welcome, you just want to walk in and sort of that's your living room, if you will, and sort of you want to see people there and talk, and then I guess you retire to your room when you're ready. But yeah, I love that notion. The 200 that 200-inch screen too. I'm envisioning what was that movie? Was it Minority Report where you're sort of sliding things around and everyone's kind of yeah,
Swiping that way and
yeah.
swiping that way.
Oh, that'd be
Right.
awesome.
That's what I'm imagining in my head.
All
Now we
right, so
just
we're
need the technology to do it for us.
yeah, yeah. Well, if you read the LinkedIn feeds, it's just snap your fingers and it all just works. Which yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Obviously, it's never that easy. As you said, you have to get the data and you have to invest in making it a priority, so that you can make it usable. Um,
Well, and that's the groundwork we've been laying, right?
yeah.
We've got our own internal AI called Chat Pineapple because we like to
Okay.
brand everything.
Yeah.
And Chat Pineapple can do a lot of things, and as well as help us create really robust profiles around our guests. One of the
Okay.
things that we think is really important around guest data that I like to talk about is differentiating zero party data, and that the only data that we collect on guests is zero party. So we're not going out and mining information about guests on social media or pulling information in that the guest hasn't given us themselves. But we
Okay.
have a number of points along the guest journey before they arrive to like we ask a very open-ended question about why the guest is coming to stay with us, and
Yeah.
send that out, one single question in the pre-arrival letter. And you would be amazed at the amount of robust information that guests send us about why
Really?
they're coming, what special event they're coming for, or who they're meeting, or what they're passionate about, or any number of things. And that's the kind of information that's super valuable. Versus you like Coke or Diet Coke. I like, sure, I care, but I don't really.
Yeah, that I'm not giving you a 5-star review because there's a Diet Coke in my room. I think you mentioned when we talked that you guys have had, I like to bicycle. Maybe that comes from that, but then there'll be a bike there for me because who's going to travel with that? But that's mind blowing as an experience where someone's like takes the time to be that thoughtful. That's amazing, and I like the notion of zero party data. Um, and most guests respond. That's fascinating to me
It is.
that yeah that they're that responsive.
Yeah, we were really surprised. We had no idea if people would respond or not when we first started putting out the question. And I don't know if it's our guest profile that they're just more willing to share and willing to again co-create with us, right? They're active partners in building the experience that they're going to have. And
Yeah,
so instead of being passive, instead of coming into a hotel and sitting back and waiting to see, you know, what what is going to present to them. So it's really fun. It's very interesting to be kind of on the cutting edge of understanding the technology, but how to use human psychology and
yeah,
technology together to provide better guest service.
yeah. Where have you? The cutting edge. You guys are sitting there, or bleeding edge, you could call it, and sometimes you do get cut or you bleed. Where have you? Um, because we've all made these. Like, have you had areas where you're like, "Oops, went too far," or "That didn't work." Particularly, as it relates AI, there's a lot of failures that are out there, and I think it's good to we can all learn from each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're often an early adopter with technology partners. We love to be pilots for new technology that's, in the works. And we've done a number of projects where we piloted something for a year or two, and then we just it couldn't do what we needed it to do in the end, or we dreamed beyond what they could accomplish.
Yeah,
And we've ended up having to change direction, which it's tough on the teams because switching out technology is not an easy endeavor on
yeah,
everybody. I think we piloted 4 different guest communication tools before we landed on the one we finally wanted. So yeah, we missed 4 times before
yeah,
we hit the mark. Um, yeah, I think particularly when you're working where few have gone before and there's not a path,
yeah. It
it
doesn't
it can be
exist. Number
hard and you're
one.
going to make a lot of mistakes. But the key for us is to not there's no recrimination on mistakes inside of our organization. If we've made a mistake, that just means that we're in a place of an uncomfortable place where there wasn't a roadmap, and that's where we need to be all the time. Honestly, as a small brand, um, it's uber critical that we're constantly um, trying new things and trying to be better and smarter at what we do, because that's our value proposition
Right.
compared to the big brands where their value proposition is to be steady Eddie and really have their systems and stick to them and be able to scale them. It's just a very different business model. And so
Yeah.
this business model requires us to be here and be really, really responsive to the market and be willing to change direction. Like we spin up marketing programs in 24 hours. We see something that's hot or a market segment that is really doing well, or one that we're used to working in that has fallen off the cliff, like our northern partners in Canada, right? How do we redirect our efforts and
Yeah.
be really nimble about that? So super critical to our business model, where it's really tough to change direction for an aircraft carrier like Hilton.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not in the SOP, pardon the pun for that. Yeah, I love this. I was talking with um, a group this week, and I work on my team where red is good. If a sea of green dashboards usually means I didn't set the goals hard enough or I'm being gaslit. And so, creating a culture where we celebrate red, we you swarm in and you fix it, and you reward people for finding it, and it means you fix it so it doesn't happen again, but it should be a good thing as opposed to a bad thing. And it sounds like, I feel like that's the advantage of the mid-size or the smaller business. We can do that in a way that most others can't. It sounds like you guys have a similar, yeah, yeah. So I was listening. I was talking to the former CEO of Tractor Supply this week, and he brought up a term I had not heard. And then as I was looking at your bio, hobby farmer, or has a hobby farm. So I saw that on your bio. You got to tell me more about that. Like what is it? How do you'd be one of his customers. That's who they serve. Hobby farmers.
They do serve me. I spend a lot of time at Tractor Supply.
Well, he nailed it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's exactly.
For Tractor Supply.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a hobby farmer. You have to have at least one truck in the family.
One truck. Okay. Pickup truck.
One truck. Yeah, like a Ram truck, like a real truck.
Yeah. You're looking at me like, yeah, come on. How do you not know this? Yeah.
Generally, you have a smaller property. You're not running an actual farm, right, or ranch, but
you're not selling like corn.
Yeah, you're not selling corn. You might be selling some. My husband and I sell some blueberries and a few things to the local restaurants in the little town we live in. Generally, you live in a little town, right? Okay. But I think the essence of it is you want to be a farmer, but you don't want to do the work.
Got it.
So you're a hobby farmer.
He was talking about how you know your customer, and they, their pivot from, we thought we were servicing farmers, but we were actually servicing hobby farmers, and said all those things. Animal was the other big thing. So, they said, animals was important, and they found that the GMs of the stores
I love animals. We have 2 giant dogs and 2 cats, and I would have sheep and goats if my husband would let me. But I haven't talked him into it yet. So
the line is drawn.
But it's my parents' fault. I grew up 2 hours from a grocery store in the middle of Alaska as a kid.
Okay.
So we lived. My dad, I think I got it from him. He also loved a rural life and kind of nature, and so yeah.
Where in Alaska? That's interesting in its own right. You don't meet that many people from Alaska. And how'd you sort of make your way out of Alaska? And were you
well? It's the law when you leave Alaska, you have to move to Oregon or Washington, because that's the transition states to get back into the continental U.S. No, I'm kidding.
You just don't go Alaska to Manhattan.
Shockingly common. Just about everybody that leaves Alaska comes to Washington or Oregon.
Okay. It makes sense. It seems like like you said, a sort of a transitionary, because it would probably be hard to leave and then go to an urban environment. I remember I had a customer, um, they called me literally. It couldn't be more of a juxtaposition. I'm in Brooklyn, I think at the time. They called. They're in Alaska, and they said, "Hey, we can't pay you this month, but we're going to send you some Copper River salmon, best salmon you've ever had." And I was like, "This is nuts," but they did send it, and it was amazing. And it was a fine barter, but just different.
Yep. And that's super common up there.
Yeah,
Not
it
the
was good.
not the salmon, the barter system. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Wait, what?" And
What?
but then it turned out to be wait, this is a first. Let's see if the bank will underwrite that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting.
I'm not
Uh,
suggesting to any of our guests that they bring barter system into our
oh,
hotel.
I can just imagine at the next. Yeah, I'm gonna pay, and oh man, that would be a funny science experiment. That would be good. Well, yeah. What I got to ask so you guys have this really cool thing. There is I believe it's a dog, right? A stuffed animal. Am I ruining a surprise? Can I? That as you could check in the room, you basically have a pet with you for the stay, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, his name is Dash, and Dash is
Okay.
our mascot. He's actually Michelle, our owner's dog. He's a real
Okay.
dog. And we had the stuffed Dash made to look just like the real Dash. And there's a little stuffed dog on the end of each bed for to keep you company while you're staying with us. We have a lot of Instagram folks that love to come through our hotels because we're
Oh, I can
very
imagine.
Instagram friendly or gram friendly. I've learned that term
I
recently.
didn't know that.
I'm not in the cool know, but on occasion I learn something. Um,
I didn't know it, so you're
and
clearly good.
so we get a lot of photography with Dash on our
Okay.
bikes. We have free bikes in the hotel, so Dash bikes around town with people, and then if you adopt Dash and take him home with you, then $10 of the adoption fee goes to the local humane society in the city that the hotel's in.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that.
Yeah, we're
That's
not
amazing.
just pet friendly; we're dog obsessed.
Okay. So yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. I love that. Well, any I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't ask what's the future of AI for you guys? I love this screen idea. If I go even 5 years beyond that, what does the sort of future look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really excited about the ability to have much better business analytics
Okay.
in the hotel business, which you know, way beyond ADR and RevPAR and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know much deeper information about any part of our organization, and then um, really knowing a lot about our guest and being able to aggregate different places that they talk about us. So whether it's on social media or it's in a review or it's in a survey or it's in data that we have in our CRM, being able to pull all of that information together from different
Okay.
sources and use that to really understand that profile better. And then I think so kind of efficiency guests. And then, I think really the third piece is um, somewhat unknown. Like
Yeah.
what's going to be the next exciting thing? I mean, God, 5 years from now, what is AI going to be doing? Like it's incredible.
Right.
It's so
Robot.
exciting. It's so
Yeah, we're all going to
exciting
be
to
living
see.
forever. Yeah. Yeah.
But I can tell you one thing: at StayPineapple, it is not going to be robots providing guest service.
I like that. Not because they can't,
Those are
but
going to
because
be people.
yeah. they can do yeah, they can make sure my credit card runs, and you know, the bike made its way from someplace to a person to hand it to me to as I check in. But yeah, I like that.
But
What last question?
there are a few other companies, they more probably than a few at this point, but out there that are doing some really incredible stuff that's outside of our business model, where
Yeah,
there's zero guests at their hotel or zero team members at their hotels now. They do
yeah,
everything automated. You know, you come in and they have robots in the lobby, and there is some really incredible stuff going on, and I think all of those business models have value and have a market segment,
yeah,
because we think having human beings doing the relationship side of the business is important doesn't mean that that's the only way to do the business and do it well. I think there's a lot of really interesting things that people are working
yeah. Well, and it's interesting. I think the last year I'd seen this stat maybe 6 months ago that over half of Chat GPT's use cases were basically therapy, or it became a companion for people. And so we are starting to build these richer relationships with machines. So it'll be interesting as you play that out. How do we, do we view them more human, and can we build relationships in a similar way? And is that part of the experience we want? But I think your point's well taken that um, just defaulting to that is not necessarily a good experience either.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I think one of the ways that I think as we interface with AI in more of, a real way where it's not just a learning model, it's
Yeah.
actually providing service and thinking on its own. Um, it, I call it Pineapple Wiki. But like everything that is Stay Pineapple are all of our intellectual property. Whether it's, yes, we do have some policies. Like, what's our bereavement policy? Totally
Yeah, you have
random.
to.
But,
Yeah.
you have to have one. Or what is the best, what is the actual technical way to do something in one of our tools that we have, or whatever it is. That is quickly becoming inside of our organization a conversation with an AI. So AI is overlaid on top of a lot of our technology. And so
Interesting.
I just have a conversation and ask, hey, Chat Pineapple, what is our bereavement policy? And Chat Pineapple goes and finds it wherever it's at, and
Yeah.
then just tells me what the information is and what the source was that it got it from.
Yeah.
So really critical to that, to those that aren't yet super familiar with working with AI yet, that is a AI that is ours and
Yeah.
does not reach the internet. That is only accessing data that is proprietary to us. And it's really
Yeah.
all that intellectual property that is Stay Pineapple. And
Yeah.
so Chat Pineapple speaks in the right pineapple voice. It helps us write reviews. It helps us write marketing material. We can converse with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, instead of running a RevPAR report, I can ask and go, hey, Chat Pineapple, why is the revenue down at Hotel Z, but our NOI is up? Like,
That.
answer a question for me. Don't just
Yeah.
spit a report at me.
Right.
I
Reports
think
are all
that,
looking backward. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think that is where we're evolving to.
Yeah.
You know, it we're we're scratching the surface of that right now, and that's going to be really, really interesting when you no longer have to spend, hours trying to dig at information that you're trying, and being able to make decisions with information that are right at your fingertips.
Yeah. Well, you talk about empowering people. It's hard to do that unless they have access to real time
Mhm.
information that is useful to that scenario. So that's really powerful. Well, you bring up another thing I think is As always, we can go forever on this. I, I personally think, and I think it's really important, where you say Chat Pineapple is private. It is your model, it's your information. That is not going out to some other model or some other AI that's learning your uniqueness and your difference. AI generally, if you ask, one of the frontier models how to run a hotel or run a hospitality business, it's actually pretty good. But
Mhm.
what's different is what you guys are doing and can put in there. So I think that's really smart that you guys keep it yours so that never gets out there.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. It's exciting. One of the other areas I'm really interested in right now around AI, and I think I'm in the learning mode around, is how are consumers using it and how is that going to impact us? It's also one of the areas I'm really afraid for hotel owners because we're not technologists, we're hoteliers, right? And so what is the consumer habits for booking? How is that going to change over the next 6 months, let alone the next 5 years? And how is that going to impact my booking patterns? And like, 6 months ago, a year ago, we were really worried about keywords on Google. Well, that is almost becoming useless at this point.
Yeah, SEO
Um,
is not. Yeah.
right. And, I don't know. I think you'll be surprised to see how many people are going to go, oh, really? I didn't, that's happened already. Um, and so how is AI search and booking, like, again, interacting with an AI that can do something, not just feed you information?
Yeah.
But looking for a hotel in Seattle. I want something unique and quirky, boutique hotel. I need it to be near the Seattle Center for X dates. Pops up. Oh, I love that. Book it.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a great point, and I just did this. So Atlas, the Chat GPT, the OpenAI browser came out. Perplexity's had one for a while, but so I downloaded it on a couple of days ago, and I went right to something I knew I could test it with, which is I'm going to Dallas. I'm making this up. I'm going to Dallas and go look at flights. I generally fly my preferred airline. So go there, look at prices. I don't want stops if it's more than a couple $100 difference. I don't want stops. I would look at an upgrade and paying for that if it was less than a certain amount. These are generally the windows. Go do that for me. And I'm watching what it's doing. And what I'm realizing is the site itself is not designed for an AI agent to like
Right.
a human can barely
Yeah.
navigate it, let alone an agent. So I think to your point, it's like not only how do you find it, but it's just not easy for it to book. It could not work its way through that kind of that's the thinking I'm going through. Same thing with a hotel. I'd say I want to be in this area. I'm traveling for work, so I want to respect a certain price point or range. And my travel, I could go Tuesday to Thursday or Monday to Wednesday. It's somewhat flexible. I might be more willing based on price or, you know, cancellation policy is important because I'm not sure if this meeting will stay or not. And so those kind of things, it just can't find. But if it could, I would book, if that was easier, I would end up booking those hotels or flights that understood how to work better with machines because I think they're not designed for that right now.
Yeah, we're working on our website right now to put in conversational processes into our
Yeah,
website so that
yeah,
AI can converse with our website and
really smart.
book
Yep.
direct, right? Because
Yeah,
we're already behind Expedia and Booking.com. Expedia and
yeah,
Booking.com have already written an app to interface with ChatGPT, and they're
yeah.
the only ones in the market that have it.
Have you seen bookings shift to that? Or people starting just, is that working? They are. Okay. Interesting.
I don't know if it's working. I mean, I'm not on the inside of Booking or Expedia's, but I know that they're working diligently on it right now, and that they've got approval through ChatGPT, and this is the problem that hoteliers are in, right? You're talking about Expedia and Booking, who are technology companies, talking to ChatGPT, a technology company, right? Like technology companies working with technology companies makes sense.
Yes.
A technology company working with StayPineapple hotels to be able to book on our website.
Yeah.
How lost in a sea are we, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a moment in time where the OTAs could get an upper hand, a further upper hand
Yeah.
on the people that actually own the asset and own the guest rooms and the product that's being distributed. Um, could become less and less important than the people that can communicate with the can get to the consumer and communicate with them through the technology that they're using.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it,
What's
I don't
yeah.
I don't think we see the bus coming at us yet.
No, and if you play it forward, you kind of say, what are I mean, those are in essence marketplaces, and they're sort of diminishing their value in that um, I'm closer and closer to booking directly with ChatGPT, who can search your guys' sites. I mean, they in essence were doing that, and then I think some of them would pre-buy and aggregate rooms so they could, play a bit of arbitrage. I don't know how much more they're doing there. There's a point where they're sort of in a precarious situation where they're diminishing their own value here. And to your point, the closer you can get to the source and cutting out those kind of people, not that you're trying to do that, but yeah, that's going to be an interesting um, how that plays out.
Yeah, it could go either way, right?
Yeah, yeah,
If hoteliers in the industry figure out how to get their technology to work with AI well, then yeah, you could diminish the control that the OTAs have in the market.
yeah,
If the OTAs get out in front and control that pipe, then they could gain more control in the market. So
yeah,
it's a time that we not only is it exciting, but we need to pay attention at our
yeah,
own peril if we don't.
yeah, yeah. We're working with a hospitality provider now on pricing, where they're taking control of their own destiny in terms of figuring out and not leaving it to having to buy that pricing data basically from one of the OTAs and just taking that on themselves so they can get insight to it. So it's very interesting how this is playing out real time.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have to do a checkpoint in a year and just see how many of our predictions. I want to see the 200-foot screen. Last question: book that doesn't have to be a business book. Something that had an impact on your life, whether it was business or personal. I always enjoy this, and I find this is people's favorite part of just these conversations where they'll go pick it up after that. Is there one or two that you just made a major impact on you?
For sure. And the first one will be obvious to anybody who's in the hotel business, I think. It's Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara.
Okay.
It is an exceptionally well written book. And I mean, he's in the restaurant business, but so directly applicable to hotels and what it means to surprise and delight guests and really be a relationship based organization. I know when I read it, I felt like he had been working at StayPineapple for the last decade, and I was it was so it just he's so articulate about the concepts and explains them so well. Everybody in the hotel business, every student in a hospitality school should read that book.
Okay.
That is probably one of my favorites. And then I think the other really old school one, this one will be a little bit of a surprise for everybody. So the opposite end would be Five Dysfunctions. The Five Dysfunctions. Sini is the author's name.
Okay.
I'm mispronouncing it probably. And it is really a simplistic book, but it talks about kind of the 5 things in an organization and leaders that we do wrong.
Yeah.
And if you can do these right, then you create an organization that is not afraid to have conflict, that is interested in uh, collaborating and being really collective around what you're doing, and
Yeah.
everybody kind of rowing in the same direction. Kind of some of those really fundamental concepts that all of us know, but few of us do well.
Yeah.
Um, and so anyway, yeah, I highly recommend the 5 dysfunctions. We use it here a lot at
Yeah.
StayPineapple. One of my one of the things that I think is super important as a leader is to encourage conflict. I like to say conflict just to be a little contrarian, but
Yeah.
right, just like open discussion. Like, don't be
Yeah.
afraid
Debate.
to say it.
Yeah.
Spit it out. Say what you
Yeah.
think. Because if you're holding back, then you're missing opportunities. Well, thank you. It's so much fun.